Hey, this is Aaron Fink from Grapple City Rewind. If you like what you hear on this episode, please give us a follow, leave a review, cut a promo on us. Anything goes. It'll go a long way in helping us to be discovered by more wrestling fans like you. Alrighty, cue that music.
Hello and welcome to Grapple City Rewind, taking you all the way back to the pay-per-views that shaped wrestling history. WrestleMania 41 is coming up quick in Las Vegas, Nevada. So this week, we're going to revisit the first and only other time that Mania hits in Sin City back in 1993. It was WrestleMania IX. We've got a lot of thoughts about it. It was about as loony as wrestling gets. I'm Bradley Palermo, here as always with Aaron Fink. And Aaron,
Hello.
we take this acid trip back to the mind of Vince McMahon circa 1993. What's on your mind involving the current product?
Well, I don't think it's any secret that you and I are big CM Punk fans. And on SmackDown this past Friday, we found out that not only will CM Punk be in a triple threat match against Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, but that match will close the show on one of the nights of WrestleMania, and that CM Punk, for the first time in his career, will have a WrestleMania main event under his belt.
Yes, and it's not Seth freaking Rollins anymore, right? It's just Seth Rollins, which
I don't know.
I feel like you almost stopped when you said his name, and then
It's because, yeah, so it's funny that you say that. I read something maybe like a month ago that they took the freaking out of his name on the WWE website.
okay,
But then the announcers, it's like 50-50. You could flip a coin. I think sometimes they still do say freaking, but I don't think the commentators say it anymore. I think they just say Seth Rollins, or maybe, I don't know.
I think I saw an interview with Rollins where he said that he was like, could you just like not do it as much? You know, because it was kind of like a Vince thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. So he kind of, I mean, it's stupid. If you can't say Seth fucking Rollins, then like just say
Just
Seth
call him
Rollins.
Seth Rollins. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, the CM Punk having a WrestleMania main event is a big deal for CM Punk and for CM Punk fans, because if you know anything about him, pretty much since day one of him being in the WWE, he wanted to be a WrestleMania main eventer. I mean, what professional wrestler doesn't come into the business hoping that is what they get? That's their ultimate goal. It's like, winning Game 7 of the World Series or throwing the winning touchdown pass during the Super Bowl. I mean, there's few things like it in this world. So, me being as big a fan of CM Punk as I am, I wanted this for him for so long. And when he came back in November of 2023, I thought, okay, he's finally going to get it. Hell yeah. And, he got injured in the Royal Rumble in 2024. And so it didn't work out for him last year, but it's working out this year. And I'm very happy for him. I think that he has earned it. And I'm very excited for the day, for when it comes.
Yeah. And I feel like we almost got the biggest part of the payoff just when the moment with him in the ring with Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman looks at him on SmackDown, and they both have tears in their eyes, and he's like, "You got your dream."
It's a genuine moment.
I mean, that kind of emotion, I think, comes maybe only once a year or so in wrestling, or every couple years. So I feel like, it was legitimate. I feel like the other two guys that he's fighting kind of maybe talk too fast and too much over it. I was like, can you just let us enjoy this for a second? But they were like, oh, I mean, of course, it's wrestling. They got to be like, fuck you, you don't deserve it.
Yeah.
But it was cool. I don't really love three-way matches, but I mean, we'll take what we can get. It looked like he was not going to get
a singles match. Yeah. I don't love triple threats either, but if there was ever a triple threat that I would be okay with, I think it would be one with these three guys, because they're all really, really talented. I say what you will about Seth Rollins' character. I haven't been the biggest fan of his recent character, where he's laughing like the Joker and wearing extremely ridiculous outfits.
right.
But no one can deny he's a talented dude, and he more than has earned all of the accolades that he's received in his career. And then you could say the same about Roman. And,
Right.
an interesting thing that they haven't really dove into yet even is the fact that Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns as the Shield with Dean Ambrose, they came about into the WWE because of CM Punk. I don't know if you remember this. I don't think you were watching back then, but he was the one that brought the Shield in, like storyline wise.
I wasn't watching, but somebody said somewhere Punk on some show said in the last week, I brought you into this business and I'll take you out.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like a mom says to their kid or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was CM Punk to the Shield members. So maybe there's been something alluded to, but I didn't get it because I was like, how the fuck did he bring him in? Because I wasn't watching at that time. So that explains a lot.
He was champion, and I think, you know, he was a bad guy. He was a heel champion, and I'm pretty sure they were just brought in as extra security or something, maybe.
Oh, I see.
Know.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
But yeah, you know, stoked for Punk, obviously. I mean, you know, he doesn't need a title. Punk doesn't need to win a championship in WWE. This was all he really needed, was to get his WrestleMania main event, and he has it. So I'm happy.
Yeah, and I think it was time because all these guys that are my age or a little bit older, they do a match, they get injured. I mean, it's what happens when you're in your 40s, right? Like,
yeah,
you can't. Yeah, it's Cena's last hurrah, but like we don't get CM Punk forever because I don't know if he's going to be around in a year or 2 years. We can't build this forever.
Yeah,
you know?
and you know
I mean, alive, yes, but around as a wrestler, you know.
Well, it's funny that you say that because, as I said before, I'm a huge CM Punk fan. But every time I've watched a match of his since his injury in the Royal Rumble, there's a part of me that's like really nervous because I don't want him to get hurt. And I'm like, I lean forward extra and I'm like super fucking stressed because I'm like, please just don't hurt yourself. I just want you to be healthy and to wrestle because, and you know, my wife doesn't love wrestling like I do, but she puts up with it and she watches a bunch of it. She said to me the other day, and she said this before, he is the best promo she's ever seen.
That's all he needs to do.
She's like, and it's not even close. It's not even close, she said. And I agree.
I think that's the thing. You don't really have to have him wrestle that much. Mm-hmm. His promo is so good. You just keep him healthy. Even when he gets in there, it's like at this point, you don't have to do that many spots. Like we're kind of sold that CM Punk finally arrived.
If you had asked me 10, 15 years ago if I thought Punk was good in ring, I would say, yeah, pretty good, you know, or like, yeah, he's pretty good. But it's funny because now he wrestles, he doesn't do as many spots as he used to, but I don't have a problem with that. I feel like as I've gotten older, what I appreciate a little bit more than an incredibly well put together match with a lot of high spots is a match that has psychology and storytelling in it. Yeah. And with age, he has gotten so good at that. The match with Drew McIntyre, where Rollins was the special guest referee, maybe it wasn't the greatest match in the world, but it was pretty fun. Every match he's had since his injury has been really good, and it's been paced slowly. And you know, like I just said, he's not trying to do buckshot lariats like he was in AEW.
I was going to say I love watching you say this while you're wearing a Kenny Omega shirt right now. For those of you that can't see,
Kenny's dope. But that's the thing, right? I love Kenny Omega. Kenny's great, you know. But you don't always have to do that. And Kenny has crazy matches with lots of spots, but Kenny also tells a story in the ring, and he does his best with the time that he's given on TV to hype up the match before it happens, you know?
Yes. Yeah, no, for sure. It's just two very different like paces.
Yeah, no, for sure. I am actually really surprised at how my taste in wrestling has changed. And I think that could actually lead us into talking about WrestleMania IX because I didn't like this pay-per-view very much at all. I felt like this is the first one where I'm like, there's not a ton of great stuff to say, you know, like April 4th, 1993. This is where we're set up at the at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. It's the first WrestleMania that had an outdoor venue. And I thought that was interesting because whenever you have a big sporting event outdoors and you don't have a roof or a ceiling, sound just goes up and then you don't hear it. It dissipates. So like not only were they outside, they also had 16,000 something people at this WrestleMania, and the last one had like 40,000 or something. So a big decrease in the number of fans.
Second smallest WrestleMania ever.
Oh, wow.
Smallest outdoor WrestleMania ever.
Interesting.
But it was the world's largest toga party.
Yeah. Joy. So exciting. That I was not a fan of this theme. I guess it makes sense given the venue, but otherwise it didn't do anything for me. I thought it was stupid.
This thing is crazy. So everyone's in togas from the camera crew to Jim Ross. It's Jim Ross's first pay-per-view for WWF,
Oh yes,
by the way.
oh wait, we should also say so this came I think 3 months before King of the Ring 1993, which we just reviewed in the previous episode. So everything that happens in this pay per view kind of directly leads into what we just covered.
Yeah, and while this pay-per-view is kind of famously bad, I think there's some important aspects of it, being that it's by many considered to be like the unceremonious death of the golden era and the beginning of the new generation era.
Mhm.
It has Undertaker's worst match in his streak, according to the Undertaker himself.
Right?
We'll talk about it, but I don't think maybe it's so bad it's good in a way. We can decide that as we kind of go along.
I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that.
It's at Caesar's Palace, right? So everything is just themed like the fucking casino. So I don't know what fucking Vince was on. I mean, the barricades have gold WWF logos on them. They're like all over the barricades. There's gold and black ropes, like Roman facade walls off in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody
to make
really
it look
there.
like the Coliseum, with
Yeah.
the behind the fans who were all the way in the bleachers. They had what I assume is just like matte paintings of what would be the Coliseum arches.
Cheap 90s Vegas shit.
Yeah.
A parade of exotic animals throughout the night, birds of prey, ostriches, fucking Caesar and Cleopatra.
Oh yeah.
Enter at the beginning on like some kind of elegant chariot, which I'm sure they just grabbed the casino performers and had them come out. Macho Man's carried out on a chariot by, what is it? Some sort of virgins? Vestal virgins?
Vestal?
Yeah,
is that what they say? Vestal virgin?
I don't even know what that means.
Vestal virgin. In ancient Rome, the Vestal virgins were priestesses of Vesta, the goddess of the hearth, who maintained the sacred fire in her temple and performed other religious rites, requiring a 30-year vow of chastity.
Okay. So they're performing certain things, but not others. Heenan enters backwards on a camel.
That was pretty funny.
He's riding the camel backwards. He falls off, shows his like blue underpants, which I feel like we've seen before. Oh no, that was someone else wearing the blue underpants.
Paulie. Yeah, Paulie Dangerously.
Yeah, he must have got them from Paul Heyman. Gross.
Yeah, so interesting commentary table. Bobby Heenan, Macho Man Randy Savage, and Jim Ross. What we just watched was Jim Ross's second pay-per-view. This is his first pay-per-view with the World Wrestling Federation.
And don't forget to hit us up on Instagram at Grapple City Pod or leave us a voicemail at 626-657-SLAM. That's 626-657-7526. It's all listed down there in our description.
Sweet. All right, let's get to the first match of this pay-per-view, which was Tatanka versus Shawn Michaels for the Intercontinental title. So, this was actually a pretty good match. We had a little pre-match package that was explaining to us how Shawn Michaels had a little bit of a spat with his former manager, the sensational Sherry. Sherry had formed an alliance with Tatanka. And then as Shawn Michaels comes out to the ring for this pay-per-view, we see Luna Vachon behind him for, I think, the first time in WWF. She, if anyone's never seen her, you should look her up. She's pretty scary. She's got some tattoos on the side of her head. And I believe she ends up being Bam Bam Bigelow's manager at some point in the near future. I remember her. She terrified me because she just had a really raspy, gravelly voice, and she shaved part of the side of her hair on the side of her head, and she just always looked like a crazy person. So
I used to work with this girl that looked just like Luna Vachon, and this was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And she was just as mean. And I met my wife back then, and I would always be like, fucking Luna Vachon over there. And she'd kind of laugh. And then one day she was like, who is Luna Vachon?
And then you had to show her.
Like, oh yeah, that's a good question. Just a really terrifying, scary ass woman.
Yeah. So anyway, this Intercontinental match, they did a little bit of setup with the commentary about how Tatanka was undefeated coming up to this. And I think he had actually beaten Shawn Michaels a couple of times, first in a singles match that was not for the title, and then in a 6-man tag. So they were setting things up like maybe Tatanka was going to be able to beat him. I never thought I would say this, but I was a little underwhelmed by a Shawn Michaels match. Like, holy shit. I love Shawn Michaels. I think 90% of his matches are incredible. But there were a couple of moments that felt uncharacteristically sloppy for a Shawn Michaels match here. And I don't know if they just had a tough time with their chemistry or if it was Tatanka's fault or whatever. But I was a little let down by this match. And I also didn't really love the finish where Tatanka wins via count out, but the way that it was shot and the way that it transpired in front of us, it was very difficult to see that Shawn Michaels had been counted out. Essentially, what happened was they were fighting on the outside, Tatanka and Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels didn't make it back in time before the referee's 10 count, but the camera wasn't showing us that the referee was counting.
Yeah.
So then we see Shawn Michaels pull the referee and, like, knock him out for a second, pull him outside to the ring.
So we think that's a DQ.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, because he grabs the ref.
Right.
But it wasn't. It was a count out. Yeah.
Yeah, which is strange. So the ref gets up after being knocked out. He rings the bell, and then they explain it all after the fact. And that was why, that on top of everything else, the sloppiness and so forth, the like you said, the finish was just like, huh?
Right. And
Okay.
Luna and Sherry are fighting, and interfering and whatever the entire time. So the match seems kind of more about them.
Mm-hmm.
And I did see a couple weird spots where they sort of half throw each other and then stop whatever they're doing and like kind of reset. Like, I don't know what that was supposed to be, but
Yeah,
they weren't coordinating in some way.
and everybody makes mistakes. I understand that. Not everyone's going to have a perfect match every time, but Shawn Michaels has a lot more good matches than bad. So I was just a little surprised.
Tatanka's his Hulk up is so fucking corny, man.
Yeah. His whole gimmick's corny. We talked about this.
Yeah, it is. But he really hulked up this time with his like one knee bouncing up in the air, and man, it was. Yeah, I wrote in my notes dumb finish, and
it was dumb.
That's probably all that needs. We can move on to the Steiner Brothers versus the Head Shrinkers in the second match. I feel like we've seen these two go at it before. Maybe it was like in an 8-man tag in King of the Ring.
It was. I think you're right. Yeah. And no wonder we didn't care, because this was the lead up to that.
Right. Yeah. We're watching things backwards. But
yeah,
this is one of the better matches of the show. I feel like there was a spot where one of the Head Shrinkers picked up a Steiner over his shoulder and sprinted backwards.
Yeah. And threw him over the top rope.
Throwing Scott over his shoulder and over the top rope. I don't think he grabbed anything. It was just like plop.
Yeah, and it went straight to the floor. That was nuts. This was fun because I just bought WWE 2K25, and they've got that whole Bloodline showcase mode, and this is one of the matches that you get to play in that.
Oh, you got it too?
I did. Yeah, I did buy it.
We gotta play each other on there.
Yeah, we will. I have to get better first. You're probably much better than me.
I haven't played the Bloodline mode past like the Yokozuna match.
I did, I think, 3 of them.
There's a lot of fucking modes on there. They have like the Island of Relevancy and
yeah. Oh, I haven't done that yet. The island. Yeah.
I like to play the My Faction shit where you
with the cards.
Where you play online against people with the different cards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to do that with FIFA.
I have all these spammy ass moves. Like if they're better than me and it's an Extreme Rules match, I'm like, you will never get me in the ring. You can beat me, but it's gonna take fucking hours. Like it's a game of chicken. Like who puts down the controller first? Because you still get the points if they leave, right? So
yeah, but I'm a my GM guy in that game.
Oh, I haven't really played that mode too much, but
it's cool. I
love the game.
Very much my speed.
I'm 700 hours into if you count 2K24 and this one, so that's where I spent a lot of my time. But I shouldn't admit that publicly.
Well, you did. It's too late now.
The Head Shrinkers dominate this thing, which made me feel like, okay, they're definitely losing. You got to get that babyface comeback, which of course, Scott hit the Frankensteiner for the win. I thought it was funny that Heenan demanded a replay, and he kind of calls out the production sometimes because there are no replays, which I would not have noticed. And if he hadn't said it, but there are on this entire thing, they don't replay anything,
Yeah, it was fun. The crowd, like you said, they were definitely behind the Steiners, the baby faces. It was fun to see the father of the Usos again, Rikishi Fatu, And I love the continuing thread throughout wrestling history that we see on display here regarding the strength of Samoans' foreheads.
Right.
There are a couple of moments where the head shrinkers are attacked in the head somehow, and it has no effect. And I think that's really funny because in modern day, this happens with Jacob Fatu a lot. Somebody will like headbutt him or do a DDT, and he just gets up and he's like, "Wah!" He goes crazy, and then he attacks them.
One of them headbutted the two head shrinkers together.
Yeah, and it had no effect. Yeah,
and they were unaffected, and then they just turn and headbutt him, and he's toast.
Yeah, I love that shit. Anytime you can continue a thread through like 30 plus years, I'm happy.
I will save most of my Bobby Heenan quotes for later, but I did like it in this match. JR said, "This will be a slobber knocker," and Heenan replies, "I thought that's what you call a Waffle House in downtown Tulsa," because he likes to just fuck with JR from being from Oklahoma.
Be mean to JR for being from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Man. Where the fuck is Bobby Heenan from that he's so high and mighty? Like
probably New York.
Mississippi? Okay, fine.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah, we'll just see. You could probably look it up. Where is Heenan from?
So, yeah, you look it up, and I'll talk about what happened next. So we had a quick interview with Doink the Clown and Mean Gene. It showed us footage of him attacking Crush on Monday Night Raw a couple weeks earlier with a fake arm, which was typical Doink the Clown shit.
Oh, on WWE on 2K25, if you come out with Doink, you can definitely grab that arm from under the ring too.
That's amazing.
Not that we're here to talk about video games, but
so yes, that backstage led us into the next match, which was Crush, the guy who won Best Hair in our last episode, versus Doink the Clown.
Heenan's from Chicago, by the way.
Heenan's from Chicago. Okay, I guess.
Yeah, they're all high and mighty out there.
Yeah, whatever. So, so this was a pretty short match. Crush took his frustration out on Doink outside the ring to start the match. He was in control for quite a while. This was one where the crowd seemed kind of quiet, but they did respond to some of the more violent moves that Crush gave to Doink. And then, Doink gets an advantage, starts attacking from the middle and top rope. He hits Crush with a really gnarly looking pile driver. And then in continuing with the theme of terrible finishes, the ref gets knocked out and a second Doink the Clown shows up from underneath the ring and hits Crush with the fake arm. And Doink gets the win. Another underwhelming match for me.
I think behind this, the things going on behind this match are more interesting to me than the match itself. I don't know. Doink at this time is Matt Bourne, who I don't know if you've seen the Dark Side of the Ring episode on him.
Maybe.
He was in Mania 1. I mean, he's a great wrestler, second generation wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to some of his interviews and such after watching this match, and he was admittedly, just really high and unreliable. He was on drugs and dealing with all kinds of addiction problems. He had this gimmick, Doink, that he created and didn't own the rights to. It was really over. He got it over, as the way he explains it, and then other people were sort of like kind of sticking their nose in it, like this guy Steve Kern who played the second Doink, and they're just kind of like, if he's not working out, anyone can put on this makeup, and then it was sort of the way that Bourne tells it in the interviews, it's like kind of just gimmick theft. Like they brought out Steve Kern and put him in the ring with Matt Bourne as two Doinks as a slap in the face to be like, look, dude,
you're replaceable.
We can replace you. We just fucking did it with you still here. And eventually, Doink stopped being like a maniacal clown and had more of a happy music and became, Steve Kern played him, and then Ray Apollo later played him. So they kept it around forever and later had like the little person Doink, Dink and Doink.
Dink, yeah.
And all that stuff. So yeah, but this is the best Doink. Matt Bourne was the best Doink. His creepy ass laugh. When they mirror each other, to me, it was like an iconic time because I saw a lot of replays of that. An iconic image. Yeah, they're sort of miming at each other, like, oh my God, it's me. Like that was funny, and I do like remember that replaying on like Raw and stuff a lot, and in like the WWF magazine. It was so dumb afterwards when like Tom Pettengill was going around asking people in the audience, like, was it real or was it an illusion? It's like, fuck.
Shit was dumb. There's so much dumb about this.
Yeah, and I put in my notes, 1 hour in and nothing fantastic has happened. So that's that's where we're at, the 1 hour mark. Yeah, it's just not an epic Mania, but we go on to Razor Ramon, who's great, versus Bob Backlund, who's one of the longest running champions in WWFE, WWF history.
I thought you were going to say one of the longest running jokes in WWF history.
Well, he was like a real legitimate guy in the WWF.
Yeah,
and
I
then
know.
they made a pretty big joke out of him.
Yeah,
I mean, he held the title for 2,135 days, which is like Roman Reigns level.
No, it's better. I think that's longer.
Yeah.
Bruno Sammartino is the number 1 longest reign. Backlund is 2. I think Roman beat Hogan, so he should be the number 3 longest reign.
Yeah, and Backlund here is 43, which is, I think, considered washed up on this roster, which right now, like, our top stars are about that age or just a little bit younger, maybe. You know, they're all kind of hanging out around 40. So it is interesting for me to see someone has this legendary status, who's brought back, just to sort of shit on him and mock him, you know?
Yeah, it kind of sucks because as important as he was to the early days of the WWF, he had never gotten to be a part of a WrestleMania. And the commentary team was very clear about how this was his first WrestleMania. Maybe I could be wrong because I'm not super well versed in who participated in every past WrestleMania. Maybe he was in the first one and they just kind of like erased it and pretended it didn't happen. But
I don't think so. Yeah.
But if that's true, man, they shit on Bob Backlund. Like, first of all, whatever he decided to do with his gimmick, he just seemed like a crackhead, and it just made me laugh, but also feel bad for him because I knew that he was going to lose this match. This is Razor Ramon coming in right at the beginning of him being hot, and the crowd is cheering for, you know, what you would assume normally is a bad guy, but not in this case.
Right.
And then for all of Backlund's praise that he now gets, this was a sloppy ass performance from him. Like, he missed a couple of things pretty badly, and Razor beat him with a roll up in like 5 minutes or something.
Because, you know, when back in the day, I think, you know, pre Hulk Hogan era, Backlund was kind of like the clean lifestyle, like fight fair, be healthy,
the role model for the kids. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if his character was fully developed, like his like rib character or whatever Vince gave to him in this like comeback, but like he does later on in the coming years become like this sort of like, kids don't understand, you know, no one has any respect anymore. Like,
did you remember that?
Like the maniac, like unhinged, like do-gooder. It's almost like he becomes an intentional parody of himself. He does become the world heavyweight champion again in some point in WWF history for, I think, like 3 days, and then gets beat by somebody in 22 seconds. So he becomes,
poor guy.
He does get the belt again for like a moment as kind of a joke, but that has nothing to do with this match. Diesel beat Bob Backlund in 22 seconds to retain the belt.
Alrighty, next match on the card was Money Inc., IRS, and Ted DiBiase versus Hulk Hogan and Brutus Beefcake, the Mega Maniacs, as they were so aptly named. And this was for the WWF Tag Team Championships. We did get some backstage promos. We got one from Money Inc. bragging about how they hurt Brutus Beefcake's face. We got a promo from Hogan.
Suck, Hulk Hogan, geek.
I even still, I wish that there was a little more story recap because I had little to no emotional investment in this match. And reading up on the event in general, it kind of seems like a lot of these matches were thrown together and weren't really built up in ways that they are nowadays.
Right.
Hogan had been gone for a year, according to Bobby Heenan. And he comes to the ring with a really bad bruised eye that's swollen shut. I think he burst a blood vessel in his eye. This was an interesting thing at the time. They said it was a jet skiing accident, WWF did. And since then, there has been speculation that might have come from an altercation with Macho Man because of that. Remember how Macho Man thought that Hogan was sleeping with Elizabeth? Some people think that maybe this is a repercussion of that. I don't know if that's true or not, but I thought that was interesting.
There was a, I forget which of these documentaries because there's so many of them, but
maybe the Macho Man one.
Yeah, Hogan was filming Thunder in Paradise, And Elizabeth and Macho Man weren't getting along that well. And Elizabeth was friends with Hogan's partner at the time. And so she was staying up there while they were filming in Tampa or whatever. And I guess Macho Man came looking for her unannounced and hit him in the eye. But I thought it was funny. They said it was an accident. Savage he's on commentary. So he's like, ooh, sounds like a cheap shot. And then they go on again, like, and they're like, I don't know about that. And he goes, he knows who did it. So it's like, so if you know the story now, and pardon my Savage impersonation isn't that great, but once you know the story and you listen and you watch back, you're like, okay, Savage is saying his piece in there still.
Yeah.
So,
it was assuming that that's what really happened, because we don't know with 100% certainty. It was a pretty interesting moment, and yeah, Macho Man's reaction was not what I was expecting. Something fun about this match, even though I didn't really love this match, when Hogan and Brutus came out to Hogan's music, Real American.
Suck, Hulk Hogan, dick.
They started fighting with Money Inc. before the music stopped, and you know what it reminded me of? Do you remember the Anarchy in the Arena for AEW, where they were fighting the Wild Thing for like 10 minutes? It reminded me of that, so I'm pretty sure that's where it came from, was this WrestleMania. But that was fun, and obviously the crowd is still very much behind Hogan and Brutus. They are very much against Money Inc. Yeah, this was, a long match for the card. Like, it was probably the longest match, I think, maybe 20 minutes. But again, like, an underwhelming, stupid finish.
Yeah.
I don't know. Money Inc. tries to walk out and end the match early, and the ref talks to Howard Finkel, Finkus Maximus.
That should be your name for the podcast.
It should be. God damn it. And so Finkus Maximus tells them that if they don't come back, not only are they going to lose the match because of a count up, but they're going to lose the belts too. And that makes them mad. So they come back.
Jack Tunney putting his foot down.
Commissioner Jack Tunney. So the match continues for a few more minutes. The ref gets knocked out. I forget exactly how. And Hogan and Brutus use Brutus's titanium mask. Right. Yeah, fucking right. And they hit Ted DiBiase and IRS. And the ref is still unconscious, but Jimmy Hart turns his jacket around to reveal black and white pinstripes. And he counts to 3. And the crowd erupts, and then the ref is like, yeah, that was not real. This match is a disqualification. And Money Inc. keeps the belts. Woohoo!
And you fucking suck, Hulk Hogan ass.
Dumb, dragged out finish. It was dumb and dragged out. I was confused when you were even trying to explain it, because it's like, how did anyone ever fucking do this?
I don't know.
But then Hogan tosses money into the crowd to get, like, cheap pops.
And it was real money, according to Natalie Cole. Why do they have to interview? Oh, I know why they interviewed Natalie Cole, because her dad was like a big Vegas staple, and she probably was singing at a hotel at the time. But like,
dude, did they not do this? Was like the only WrestleMania where there was no America the Beautiful, right?
Oh, I don't know if it was the only one, but that was conspicuously absent from the beginning of the show. I didn't think about it until
maybe
now.
It didn't fit in with the Roman Coliseum theme.
Certainly didn't.
But one thing I thought was really interesting in this match, and for some reason, I thought that Scott Hall came up with "bad times don't last, what bad guys do," but Savage says it in this comment on the commentary during this. So is that a thing that's been used in wrestling for a long time, or where does that come from?
I don't know. I heard it too, and I thought a similar thing. I was like, oh, that's what Scott Hall said at his Hall of Fame induction. I don't know. All the best shit is stolen, dude. You know that.
Yeah, dude, that's weird though. I mean, Scott. This is like way before that. Scott Hall. Mm-hmm. So Scott Hall's a hack, and
stop it. He's not.
And then we go to Mr. Perfect versus Lex Luger, the narcissist Lex Luger. We got a backstage promo with Perfect. He's intensely focused on restoring perfection. Lex Luger comes out to his full pose down with the mirrors, and
don't forget all the very scantily clad women around him too, and the cameramen made no efforts to not shoot all of their asses as they walked up into the ring. And Heenan goes, "Oh my god!" Like, come on, guys, what are we doing here?
yeah, I mean, they're just trying to get somebody not to turn this fucking thing off, right?
I guess, yeah.
Look,
butts! Oh my god, butts!
God, when you're a wrestling fan and a man, your fucking wrestling feed, like the Instagram feed, is just like how many asses of what's her ass, Dom's girlfriend,
Liv
from like
Morgan,
the like lowest angles possible, and you're like, and then you read the comments, and the dudes are just gnarly, man, a bunch of incels. But commentary's putting over Luger's loaded forearm, which we talked about last time. But in real life, he's got a metal plate of some sort in his arm because of his previous motorcycle accident. And in the wrestling angle, they use it as like, some sort of unfair weapon. Yeah, I noticed the crowd is quiet, and it seemed like no one really cared.
They liked Mr. Perfect, though, I thought. Believe it or not, I think this was match of the night for me. And like, it was a short match. It was probably 10 minutes, but it had the most intensity. It felt the most real to me.
Yeah.
Luger was working Mr. Perfect's back. Perfect was working Luger's leg. There was good psychology. What they were doing made sense, but it ended with kind of a whimper. And I don't even really remember what. Oh yeah. So Luger ends up pinning Mr. Perfect, but Mr. Perfect has his feet on the ropes. However, the ref is not looking when he's counting to 3 at the ropes. He's looking at the shoulders. And so he pins Mr. Perfect, and Luger gets the win, even though technically Mr. Perfect had his feet on the ropes and he should have had the break. But then the loaded forearm comes into play after the match, and he knocks out Mr. Perfect. And then that's when commentary's like, "Oh, there he goes with the arm," whatever.
And then there's this whole backstage thing where back behind the stage, and does Shawn Michaels come out and save Luger or something? I don't.
Yeah, Perfect attacked Luger from behind, and they were fighting in a shed, and then Shawn Michaels was right there, and then he attacked Luger for Mr. Perfect, for some unknown reason, probably to set something up. But what's weird is the next pay-per-view was King of the Ring, and they didn't. Yeah, it wasn't Shawn Michaels versus Mr. Perfect. It was Bret Hart. So I don't know what that was about.
I didn't know where all that was going. I was kind of more interested in like the fact that it seemed like this thing started really early in the day, because we're getting pretty through this thing at this point, pretty close to the main events, and
it must have started at like 3
fucking high noon
or 3 3 in the afternoon. Sorry.
I guess because they never gets dark on this thing, so it's pretty wild.
Yeah. It was so, like I said, match of the night, but like match of the night on a poop card, not that good. And then we had probably the worst match of the night, The Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez.
Funny though,
well. Actually, not as bad as I thought it would be. Undertaker talks about it like it's the worst fucking match he's ever had in his life. And it's not good, but it's also not the worst match I've ever seen. It's just,
I'm sure he doesn't like being like, he looked so short, and he's used to being the big guy. I'm sure on top of it being a bad match, he probably didn't appreciate being towered over.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't like that either. Giant Gonzalez was a huge dude and very imposing.
Like 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too bad he was shit in the ring, but in interest, they were trying to capitalize off of his size like they used to do with Andre, and I think everyone can look back on the past and say that probably didn't work out the way they had hoped.
Andre could fucking move, guys like Omos, in more recent times, or Gonzalez, they're just tall.
Yeah.
I know Andre, by the time it was like televised,
he was like too hurt to,
But if you watch like the earlier 70s stuff on YouTube, like that fucking dude was no joke. Yeah. He wasn't just tall.
It was not the best. The Undertaker's entrance was cool though. He had a chariot and a vulture that was that was walking with him to the ring, and it was fun to see the old interpretation of the Undertaker with the more funeral marchy kind of music. because that all that stuff changes over time as he's trying to figure out what the character is and he refines it. So that was fun to see, certainly. But man, again, the end of this match was so dumb. Harvey Whippleman, who is Giant Gonzalez's manager, gives him a rag soaked in chloroform, quote unquote, and the Undertaker passes out, but then he comes back, and then how did this end?
Well, first of all, people in the audience, they just see a rag on Giant Gonzalez's hand going to Undertaker's face. If you didn't have the commentary, they're just looking
you'd
like,
have no idea.
Yeah, you'd have no idea. And commentary is like, oh, that stench.
Yeah, I could smell it.
I mean, chloroform, I looked it up. It's like a sweet smell, so it wouldn't have been you can't
opposing. Smell it.
No. But yeah, it's he supposedly, kills the Undertaker to a certain extent. Oh my God, that can kill you. Like, they're making it really dramatic.
Yeah.
And, they take him out on a stretcher and, of course, he's the dead man. So he just fucking couple seconds later walks back down that aisle. He's like back from the fucking dead.
Yes, Taker wins via disqualification after Giant Gonzalez used the chloroform soaked rag, which is pretty funny because the ref was watching him do it for like 20 seconds. And then after he was like, okay, now we can ring the bell.
Yes. The Gonzalez. So the outfit of Giant Gonzalez is infamous in wrestling history. He's wearing a flesh colored bodysuit that is airbrushed to look like it has muscles and hair. So he looks like a naked man without genitals out there in the middle of this fucking match. It's dumb as fuck, dude. Terrible.
And my last note for this match was, okay, maybe I see what Undertaker is talking about with this one.
I mean, it didn't make anyone look good. It made Undertaker look kind of stupid for, not being able to beat up this. It made him look smaller and less scary by having this sort of weird bodysuit clown cartoon guy.
But he did get him down onto the mat. He did knock him down once.
Yeah. No, it wasn't great for anyone. I don't even think it made Giant Gonzalez look all that great because he gets his ass kicked later by Undertaker after he wins. I don't know.
Yeah, not great.
Some of these are they're so bad.
Take the good with the bad, What can you do? What was next?
We had Bret Hart versus Yokozuna for the WWF Championship. Bret comes out solo. He doesn't have any lions or tigers or birds or vultures. And the Yoko entrance wasn't really that big either. It seemed like they were done with all the pomp and circumstance.
No, but they did take some time to build it up, like with promos and look backs on things and making Yokozuna out to be a killer with all of the different bonsai drops he had put on people,
It's funny because Bret, between this match and 3 months later, his parents must have had 2 more kids because he's one of 11 siblings in this match. But by King of the Ring 93 that we just watched, he's one of 13.
I just want to say really quick, Hogan had a little promo before this match.
And you fucking suck, Hulk Hogan ass.
He literally called Yokozuna a Jap. Did you?
Because you suck, Hulk Hogan.
He did. I just want to see Bret beat that Jap. And my mouth kind of dropped like...
That's what he said. And this is where you can insert the Iron Sheik telling Hulk Hogan to go fuck himself.
And you fucking suck, Hulk Hogan ass.
I'm pretty sure even in the I'm speechless. I don't know. I mean, that's just like straight up using slurs on the WWF pay-per-view.
Yep.
Wow.
That's Hulk Hogan for you.
Yeah, he totally did that.
Can I tell you something really quick that has nothing to do with this, but is only related to Hulk Hogan? Did you know that anytime that Booker T walks into the NXT arena to do commentary for NXT, the crowd chants, Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, Hulk Hogan. We coming for you, Hulk Hogan.
Because it's kind of like a local crowd, so they have like their things,
And Booker just loves it. And I'm not going to tell the audience why, what that means. Just if you want to look it up, just type Booker T Hulk Hogan promo, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's a video promo of Yoko destroying like Dugan and Hart
Yeah, he sat on Jim Duggan like 5 or 6 times. They played up the injury, and then he bonsai dropped Bret Hart at the contract signing, I think, for this match that we're about to see. That was the hype package. Yeah.
So then we get Bret Hart versus Yokozuna for the WWF Championship. All right, so Bret looks great. There's USA chants, though, which makes no sense because as we've established, he's Canadian. Heenan calls it out, and Yokozuna, they're saying, is from Japan again, which we've said before. He's not either. But Heenan's like, USA. I mean, one guy's from Japan, one guy's from Canada. So that was pretty fucking weird. It was basically just saying, like, fuck you, foreigner, I guess.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Because the Canadian guy's more white. Bret gets he gets a near fall off the top ropes. Bret locks in the sharpshooter. Fuji throws salt in his eyes. Yoko pins him and wins the belt. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like 10 minutes long again. Yokozuna basically just wrecks Bret for a while. Then Bret, looks like he might survive, but Yokozuna's just too big. They play with an exposed turnbuckle spot. Yoko takes a header into the exposed turnbuckle. It's not enough to get him down. And Fuji with the powder in the eyes, and Yokozuna's the new champion. I was reminded of Bret Hart versus Roddy Piper the year before in WrestleMania 8, another outside, a venue, I think, or maybe, I think it was outside, but not fully outside. And that match was incredible. So then to go from that to this, I was like, yeah, whatever. And, too short to be anything of note, honestly. It was just like another fuck finish. And Yokozuna wins. But then we get to the dumbass ending to this pay-per-view, which is Mr. Fuji challenging Hulk Hogan, who comes out to console Bret Hart after he's lost. And Mr. Fuji's like, oh, yeah, you can fight Yokozuna right now. I'll put the title on the line. And, Hogan...
They don't ring the bell. Like, no ref comes out.
They don't ring the bell. Dude, I was so mad at that.
Match never really starts, right?
Yeah, Hogan checks on Bret, and Fuji gives the challenge, and Bret's like, go, fight him, which would never happen.
No.
Ever. And then it was like 20 seconds, and, Hogan ducks a second throwing of salt in the eye from Mr. Fuji. It hits Yokozuna. I don't even think he hits him with the leg drop. It's just like pin 1, 2, 3. He wins. And like you said, I didn't even hear the bell ring. Like this, what the fuck?
Yeah, Hogan's holding up the belt like it's a big win. It just feels like he's really sticking his nose into an era that's sort of doesn't need him anymore, but needs something, but not necessarily Hogan. That's not really doing the trick.
Yeah.
Fireworks go up. It's broad daylight,
And the show's over.
Really what needed to happen was a Bret Hart Hulk Hogan match, maybe, to get that belt back from Hogan, but that never happened.
No.
One of the announcers said it was the biggest Mania ever, but it had literally already been outdone 7 times before this. I think it only, as far as attendance goes, at least in general, this whole thing felt just like the entire pay-per-view felt kind of rushed and just weird, and a low point for booking and a weird tone, just kind of. Like
strange. We didn't need togas. We didn't need to be outside. We didn't need the theme. You don't need any of that. And you can see it nowadays. WrestleMania is 2 full nights now, and there's no themes. If there are themes, it's based around the city that they're in, which, okay, fine, but it feels natural. Everything about this felt forced to me. Yeah. From the matches, the match length, the order of the matches, the design of the sets, and the theme. This was a miss in almost every sense of the word. And it's crazy because it just shows you how quickly things can turn in wrestling. They had almost 40,000 people at the WrestleMania the year prior. And then Hogan takes a year off, and then they have 16,000 people. So it shows how much the business was riding on Hogan during that time. And thankfully, when he leaves, it eventually gets to where it was and better. But Man, yeah, this is sort of a down point for the WWF.
Should we get to the funny Bobby Heenan quotes from WrestleMania IX?
Do it. I didn't write any down, but I'm sure yours are all amazing.
Well, yeah, I know. It's kind of my thing I'm hung up on. As Tatanka hulks up, he's not Hulk Hogan. He's a Hulkamaniac with feathers.
Nice.
Yokozuna, you don't have to buy him dinner. Just throw him a cow in the ring and ring the bell.
Wow. Jeez.
On Giant Gonzalez's bizarre airbrush bodysuit, it's like he's got muscles in places I don't even have places.
Okay, that one's good. I like that one.
All right. At double doink moment, I see double. I need a double. Someone get me something strong. And my favorite one of the night on the Caesar's Palace theme. This is the first time I've ever seen Rome fall in broad daylight. I got a kick out of.
Is that like a porn reference? Like he's watching some dirty movies or something about the fall of Rome?
I don't know.
Oh my god. Did anybody reach out to us over the past 2 weeks? Do we got any feedback, any calls or anything?
My friend Josh here in LA wrote us a nice review. The Grapple City Rewind is an entertaining look back at old school wrestling or wrestling. I enjoy the dichotomy of a somewhat cynical Palermo and very upbeat Fink. Give the podcast a chance, and I guarantee you will not be disappointed. Keep it up, guys. And he mentioned to me that we need to watch WCW Uncensored for an oddball pay-per-view. It sounds pretty fucking nuts. I don't know. Have you heard of that one?
Maybe. I might have watched it, but I don't know.
It's got like a bunch of dudes in a cage at the same time, and like one of them there's a character they tried to call the Final Solution, but they realized what that really means right before he went on, so he changed his name to the Ultimate Solution. He's like this huge roided out guy. It sounds like another just like fucking shit show that maybe we should keep an eye on.
Yeah,
but thanks,
the
Josh,
first one, like 1995, is that?
Oh wait, 96.
96.
Yeah.
Okay.
But thanks, Josh, for the review. We appreciate that. It was really nice of you to drop that on the Apple Podcast there.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. I was a little more cynical today than I was upbeat, but such is life. When the shit stinks, I will tell you.
Yeah, I was like, oh, does that make me the heel of this team? But
I mean, if we're taking tallies, I suppose you do talk a lot of shit.
Speaking of, we have a new rating system: fast forward, play, or rewind. Which one do you give? I already know. Which one do you give WrestleMania IX, Aaron?
Well, okay, I guess we should probably explain. So fast forward, I think, is it's pretty self-explanatory, but essentially don't watch it. It's not worth your time. You can just fast forward over this pay-per-view and forget it ever existed. Play is, there's some redeemable qualities. There's some things that are worth watching, so check it out if it interests you. And then rewind is kind of like our, watch it right now. Like it is worth you rewinding that tape.
And watching it again.
And checking it out. Yeah. So, I don't really know. I think I'm just gonna say fast forward. We can just leave this one to the dark ages. You can watch the clips, the necessary historical clips on YouTube, and maybe don't pick this one up.
Yeah, I agree. I was really into watching wrestling when this came out, and I think I might have watched this one live as a kid, and I have a soft spot.
And that was the end for you.
I think I have a soft spot in my heart for some of these moments, and watching it as an adult now, I feel like we watched it, so you guys out there don't have to.
Yeah.
So fast forward, we have to start with some sort of standard, and we definitely can't have this be the standard. So we'll let you know when we find a better one. I have fun watching all wrestling, and it's fun to talk about it if it's bad, and it's and then when it's really good, it's like one of my favorite forms of entertainment. So no, nothing lost for me. Like it wasn't a waste of time to keep an eye on it. I want to see all the good and all the bad, but yeah, I can't give this one. I can't give this one more than the fast forward rating. Oh, so what are we going to watch next week? We're alternating selections here, so you can blame this WrestleMania IX on me, Aaron. But what do you want to see What should I get ready to watch next week? Maybe the people listening can watch also, so we're all on the same page.
Yeah. So I was thinking more about the WCW pay-per-view that we watched. I think it was our second episode. So I would like to watch Clash of the Champions 9, New York Knockout. And the main event of that is Ric Flair versus Terry Funk in an I Quit match. So I'm pretty sure that this comes very soon after what we watched, where we had the Flair and Funk match as the main event.
I'm always down for some Flair and Funk. And before we get going, let us know what you thought of WrestleMania 9. Do you agree with our assessment? 626-657-SLAM is our Google voicemail line. No one's going to pick up or talk or anything. You can just call and do as many takes as you want, or you can cut a promo on me or Aaron and tell us we're cool or tell us we're not. Follow us on Instagram at GrappleCityPod. You can always email us grapplecitypod@gmail.com. We always appreciate a nice review. Tell your friends. Thanks so much for listening. It's always a great time. We'll be back as soon as we possibly can.
Bye-bye all. Have a good one.